pressing on us lately, having to do with the church, the people where I live, the people where you live, and kind of the sense of hopelessness that could possibly abound or be everywhere, when it's actually, as I see it, a time of hope, a time of change, a time of ushering in new things like new understandings, new applications, and the new ways that we do things everywhere. As we kind of redefine what it means to be successful, what it means to be in America, what it means to be a believer. And so I would probably start by saying that it appears to me, and I could be wrong, and I've tried to have a conversation with several people, but it never seems to get anywhere. But it seems like, for instance, and I don't know how we would really define what the evangelical church is, but the voice of the church that's public and into the mix seems to me to be more of a voice lined up with the American way, with the American politics, with the capitalistic system, and more in line with that than in fact, it's in line with the gospel or what Jesus taught or what the Bible teaches. And I don't want to say that like, in my heart I think, oh yeah, that's the truth, but let's just say it so that we say, well, could we look at that and say, well, maybe some things are weirder. I think the first thing I would say is that I always looked at church. If I was making the most important freaking point in the whole wide world and somebody wanted to say, hey, there's a sick guy over here, or hey, there's this, or hey, there's that, you could do that. You could do that. And nobody thought it was strange, because we really believe that everybody that shows up, every time we meet in the name of the Lord, every time we meet in the name of love, every time we meet at peace, that the Lord can speak to us and He can direct us and guide us. And so we would always allow anybody to say whatever they want. And you could stand up and do things that were stupid and that should cause everybody to go home and take their money and the whole plain and simple. Look, read it. I know I do that. I mean, some things that are really clear to me, other people go, well, how'd you get that? So we allow for that. But the strange thing was that in the process of learning that, oh, this is wrong and that's right, and you can do this and you can't do that, and you have to have an interpreter for this and that, and I thought, my. So anyway, in our little place where we were meeting, somebody did that. And some people say, oh, well, that's supposed to be interpreted or this or that. But it never stopped us from letting everybody know that they could always speak whenever they want. Even if it was a wedding, and it was a wedding amongst us, you could, hey, wait a minute, got a question? Or what about this? And that was okay. Now today, that's not okay. Not only is it not okay in most churches that you go to, it's not even okay on the streets of America to say what's on your mind. And when people close their minds to new ideas, to new understandings, to new things, they end up kind of like the guys that crucified Jesus, or the guys that pulled off the scam, whatever. The guys who said, take them to Pilate, whatever. Those guys, those Jewish guys. Not that they were Jewish guys, but they were the rulers and the leaders of the religious system. And they thought they had God dead. They thought they had him dead to right. This is how he's going to come. This is what he's going to do. And when he came and blew them away with his love and his mercy and all that, how did that go for them? It's going to go about like it's going to go for us if we don't broaden our thinking and say, hey, what does it look like when God himself comes down and enters into the whole historical thing that's going on earth in a tangible way where people actually know, oh, that was God. Well, where would you start looking? I haven't ever seen in the scriptures myself where he did like this magic, poof, and everything was better. But I just haven't seen it. So I'm under the assumption that he picks people to do things, and then those people start doing those things, and then he starts giving them wisdom as they go, and power, and all that they need to do what they're doing, as long as they initially take the step and say, okay, I heard that and I'm out of here. In other words, I heard what you said, Lord, I'm going to go do it. then he begins the process of enabling us to, empowering us to take care of what's at hand. To me, that's pretty simple. You see that in Moses. You can see that in when Paul, the Apostle Paul, got captured. He was captured for a reason. God captured his heart. You know what I'm talking about. Anyway, it was for a reason. He had a thing to do, a job to do. So God gets these people and he gets the job done. So now here, this is amazing. You get these two messages from the people that say they know God. The first message is, well, you don't want to screw around and try and do God stuff. So you just be cool and watch it happen, let it happen, and don't get your fingers too much on it because you'll screw it up for sure. Because we're just worthless pieces of shit, and what can we do? In fact, we know that you can't even try to establish the kingdom of God on earth without Jesus here. And that's true. And it may be also true that he isn't here. But I seem to enjoy his company every day. And I know you do too. So how can we enjoy his company every day, you and I and all these other guys, and when you're really tuned in, you really enjoy his company. How can we do that and think he's not here? Oh, well, we want to see him come on the cloud. Well, maybe he's waiting for us to get up off our asses before he ever comes on the cloud. I don't know. Because what are we doing? And it's weak because we're all in this together. No matter how crazy you think I am or I think you are, you know what? When the stuff hits the fan, I'm going to be hanging onto your hand, brother or sister. And I'm sure you'll hang on to mine because at least we'll know that we're headed for the light. We'll see the light and we'll grab hands and go for the light. And that'll unite us enough for that point. But we should start working on that now. I really believe that. I believe it so strongly. That's why I'm sitting here wiggling around trying to communicate it. Because here's what I see happening. And I think it really will. For me, it untangles a lot of questions that I've always had with the Old Testament and everything else. First of all, if, as a lot of people are doing today, and I think it's right, we're looking at the Bible from what everybody calls, I'm not sure I know what it means, the biblical narrative, the historical biblical narrative approach, or as the second Exodus theology, things like that. And it makes more sense to me because it paints a picture of a God who cares about the world,